keep your voice down. There's a 757 there peeking through the trees. It doesn't see us. It's not suspecting anything. Well, that was my best impression of maybe Steve Irwin, I guess, without the Australian accent. It's just Steve, no Irwin. So, yeah, take that for what you will. But did you see the 7.5? Because you're going to be asking that question quite a bit when you apply today's uh, takeaway from today's presentation. Did you see them? Looking out to the world of pilot applied visual separation in the en route stratum here at San Juan Center. So at San Juan Center, we do own a lot of airspace from the surface to unlimited, and San Juan Approach only owns from 10,000 feet and below. So there is a lot of areas where you, as an en route controller here at San Juan, can use pilot applied visual separation to help your operation out, to help it run smoothly, more efficiently, and albeit you'll be doing the safety aspect of it just as well. So today we're going to be adding a tool to that toolbox. It's going to be fantastic. It is really fun. We're returning to chapter 7 to talk about things. If you remember in our Barinkin love affair that our hearts have also mended now, we went over the role of fellow controller applied visual separation and us granting that to the tower controllers at Aguadilla. But today we are revisiting this topic. We covered it briefly, I believe, in one of our radar flashcards, but that was really early on. So a subject matter like this certainly necessitates its own video. So it deserves that beautiful 757, retired now, enjoying her days out in the desert in Roswell. So yeah, let's take a moment of silence and just take in that awesome sight of that wonderful 757 with the RB211s. Okay, let's get to the sector. Psych, gotcha. We actually have a bulleted list here first, which is fun. It's looking out my back door from the CCR song, but looking out your back door, if your back door was a window and it was actually the front windshield of the airplane, then this reference would make sense, but that's okay. It fits anyways as a pun. So yes, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for pilots to look out the window and look for the traffic that we will be calling out to them. So we're going to be taking a dive into 7110.65, a document that we have gotten to know very well acquainted with our friend, 7110.65 Yankee, and how PAVs, or pilot applied visual separation rules, apply to us, the en routers, right? Yeah, wonderful. Common situations here at San Juan Center where pilot applied visual separation may be applied because it happens routinely. You'll see that we're going to use a couple situations. Most of the time it's where we as San Juan Center controllers own from the surface to unlimited, so we are able to take advantage of the stratum at which visual separation, pilot applied visual separation, is allowed to be applied. So we'll dive into that a little deeper. We're going to use it safely and correctly. We're going to be very methodical about this. For our first couple situations, we will go over the requirements as stated in the 7110.65. We'll take it letter paragraph by letter paragraph, and we'll cross it off the list as we progress and learn this stuff, take it all in. So you'll see that more on that in a minute as well. Learn what to report and what to solicit to get the job done. We will learn some phraseology here, which is awesome. It's always good to have. We'll be using some that we've learned already and throw it in the mix so you are able to use pilot applied visual separation in a smooth manner. It sounds good. It's smooth, it's clear and concise. It doesn't clog up the frequency with you trying to point two aircraft out to each other. It just smooths properly, or just goes over properly, and yeah, it will just help you out not tying up the frequency and kind of take away that intimidation factor that pilot applied visual separation sometimes has an effect on developmentals. I know I wasn't the quickest to use it whenever I newly certified or even when I was training. So here you go. So off to the sector this time for sure. Ready, set, jets, go. I'm excited. I hope you are too. Let's get our hands dirty. All right, so here we are at the sector, and to no surprise and to much of everyone's chagrin, we are in that dreaded triangle of Dandy and Gabar, Green 633, Yankee 280, between Juliana, St. Kitts, Bird, the non-radar transitioning to the radar environment, a whole bunch of fun. It is an area where, at least where these two aircraft are, where we own from the surface to unlimited, so it presents an opportunity, and this is a routine area where you might find yourself, given aircraft characteristics, performance, the mixture of aircraft types, where you would want to use pilot applied visual separation. So here we are sitting at the sector, And to no surprise, as we see Seaborn 4542 requesting higher, and they chime up on their frequency and ask that. Now, we can assume, and we're going to take a couple of assumptions into play, that the D side did assign an altitude that was going to maintain positive separation right off the bat. Seaborn 4542, since we don't have the strips made available to you, was the St. Kitts departure, whereas Mountain 7105 was an overflight from BC Bird on green 633. So take that into account because this situation does occur often. We have slow caravans transitioning airspace at a low altitude stratum, but an en route phase of flight. Whereas Seaborn 4542 would love to be the same thing, not quite as slow, turboprop, also wants to get to that en route stage of flight, but at a higher stratum than at which Mountain 7105 is at. So this sounds like a perfect opportunity for you to use visual separation. Now, we've been over how you can vector the aircraft to the southwest and parallel the heading, put up a halo, and use your decision support tools and all that fun stuff. And good, that's a tool that is readily available. There is nothing stopping you from using it. But here we are giving you a new tool. I'm not saying it's better than the tool you have. I'm just saying it's another tool that fills up the toolbox, and it's always good to have a collection of tools. So here we go. We're going back to 721, visual separation. Visual separation may be applied when other approved separation is assured before and after the application of visual separation. To ensure that other separation will exist, consider aircraft performance, wake turbulence, closure rate, routes of flight, known weather conditions, and aircraft position. Okay, so what does that mean? That sounds like a lot of things that we may have to satisfy in order to use this. And therein lies that intimidation factor that sometimes comes about because we are worried right off the bat when we read this. Well, don't worry at all. You're going to see that every example today, primarily, deals with aircraft that are not wanting to go to flight level 180 or above. Now, it's going to happen where visual separation applied between pilots and aircraft can be used with the aircraft wanting to go to the flight levels, say a turbojet departure, going to the flight levels. What's going to happen is I would suggest, and anytime you're planning to use pilot applied visual separation, and if it's feasible, do not assign anything 18 or above. Use the stratum in which visual separation is allowed to be used as per the 7110. And once you get that before and after effect, right after the separation is realized, and you have that after effect where it's guaranteed after you use visual separation, then you can go on to the higher flight levels. So maybe if they're going westbound, you would assign 16 right off the bat to get on top of the aircraft that's at 14 or 15. And once you have that 1,000-foot buffer, then that aircraft can continue their climb to participate in Class A airspace. Now, that's just a word of caution. The official word on that, whether you can have an aircraft using pilot applied visual separation temporarily and then still with the intention of transitioning to the flight levels, the verdict's kind of out on that. But I would not use 180 in my clearance at all because then you're involving what could be construed as a violation of this very paragraph. So that also brings up another good point. Remember that visual separation is not something you're going to use constantly. It's not over as soon as the aircraft sees each other. Now, sometimes it is because of the nature of the flight, but in this situation, it's an overtake situation. So there's no way that Seaborn 4542 would want 100, but if they did, using visual separation is not good enough. Just to have Seaborn also be at 10, whereas Mountain 7105 also 10, same direction, and constantly losing distance on each other, but he sees them, or the aircrew sees the caravan. And now that's not the case here. Visual separation is almost like the intermediary. It is a tool where you're able to use it, and then you are using some other form of separation. It is not the end-all be-all separation for the entire duration of the conflict or the time that the aircraft are going to be close to each other. It's a transitional thing that you use to bridge the gap between visual separation and some other form of separation, and then not to mention that obviously there is some form of positive separation that it's used before. It is an intermediate thing to help facilitate and get that sector running smoothly, your operation running more fluidly. So that's a very long-winded way to say, hey, just be careful and just understand this tool in particular. So good job D-side for maintaining that positive separation. We can assume this aircraft is climbing to either 8 or 9, right? Flight level 80 or 9 or 0. And we are going to pause. We have this under consideration, so we will go to the next slide. And we're going to talk this over, go over the requirements, okay? Good job so far. Hang in there. All right, let's continue on reading the paragraph and applying it as such. Visual separation may be used up to, but not including flight level 180, right? We just went on a long diatribe about my thoughts on that when the following conditions are met. 1, direct communication is maintained with one of the aircraft involved and there's an ability to communicate with the other. Perfect. Sounds wonderful. That describes this situation perfectly. Mount C105, C145, 42, both right identified, both on R2's frequency. Score 1 for R2. Check it off. Also remember that the ability to communicate with the other is in the event that perhaps you are trying to use pilot applied visual separation near a vertical or lateral boundary within our setter, or perhaps with an adjacent facility that you can have direct communications with. We can obviously communicate with them who can communicate with the aircraft. So this is just letting you know, hey, they don't necessarily have to be on your frequency. They could be on somebody else's, and you can relay all the information that we are about to learn to the other controller about visual separation. 2 and subsequent A. A pilot sees the other aircraft and is instructed to maintain visual separation from it as follows. A. Tell the pilot about the other aircraft, including position, direction, and type. If it is not obvious, include the other aircraft's intentions. Wonderful. This sounds like a traffic call, and by now we have gotten pretty good at giving traffic calls in merging target procedures. We get a lot of practice with this, and here's another reason why it's good to know that, because traffic calls apply to so many things that you will achieve to do in this sector. And what is nice is include the other aircraft's intention. So you're allowed to paint that picture, paint your masterpiece. You're given some latitude on how you can describe what the aircraft is doing and let the other craft know, like, you can be descriptive about it. It's wonderful. So here we are, C145, 42, traffic 12 o'clock, 8 miles, same direction, caravan, flight level 100, report the traffic in sight. So good. Check that one off. And we will keep this going until the next slide. So hang in there. We're almost done with this situation. Let's keep digging away at the list here. There's the header. Where it B, obtain acknowledgement from the pilot that the other aircraft is in sight. Instruct the pilot to maintain visual separation from that aircraft. Very simple. It's a natural flow of events. It makes logical sense. So here it is, caravan in sight, Seaborne 4542. So boom, there we go. We got acknowledgement. Seaborne 4542 maintain visual separation with the caravan, climb, maintain flight level 160, and boom, we just gave the clearance for them to climb and to maintain visual separation with the Mountain 7105. Now, nowhere do you see so far in these rules have we had to be given a mandate to give Mountain 7105 traffic. Even though the traffic, the Saab 34, the Seaborne 4542 is behind them and they don't have rear view mirrors in caravans, at least not the airplane type, Dodge Caravans maybe, but you would need to give traffic, or at least I'm suggesting. This is a technique. Don't take that as a mandate, but I would give it as a courtesy. Mountain 7105, traffic, 6 o'clock, 13 miles, same direction, overtaking, Saab 34, climbing to flight level 160 has you in sight, maintaining visual separation. That sounds long-winded, but just let them know, because their TCAS, if they are so equipped, will see the aircraft, and it's nice to let them know. So it's just a courtesy thing that I would do if you have time to do it, but nowhere does it say you have to do it yet. We will go over a situation where you are and it is mandated by this paragraph. So let's keep it going, but good job with this first example. We illustrated the points. We're going to move on to a different scenario now, finish the list, and what I forgot to tell you at the beginning of the presentation, our last example is going to be one of those open-ended sandbox things where we can work it out together. We'll pause it, do your thing, and we'll talk about it. So something to look forward to. So let's keep it going. Well, big surprise here. Look at us back in the northwest corner of Sector 8. and learning about pilot applied visual separation. Boy, this is the Wild West, quite literally, because we seem to use every rule the 7110 has in this fine little corridor of progress. So you might be thinking to yourself, and I know this is what I would think right away sitting down, this would be an opportunity for me. And actually, I would probably be thinking this as soon as I release Translato 8108 off of Aguadilla, that it would be a great idea and a great opportunity to use pilot applied visual separation, knowing two kind of givens. SkyCube 3899 Heavy wants to get down. They want to start the approach phase of flight. They don't want to have to be rushing down, waiting for emerging target procedure with minimum separation. And Translator 8108, same story, just in opposite. They want to climb. They don't want to be stuck at flight level 60 or 6,000 feet if you're using standard altitudes because, well, they want to get to 14. That's what they filed for. You would know that with the strips. So, exactly. This is an opportunity for you to use pilot applied visual separation to help your operation run smoothly and get each aircraft to where they want to go, both vertically and obviously laterally. So continue on. There's the header of the paragraph. And here we go. We start that ball rolling. Translating 10 traffic 12 1 o'clock, 10 miles southeastbound heavy MD-11, 9,400 for 7,000, landing Borinquen. Do you have it in sight? Good. You see how we took advantage of using the 7110 chapter 7, how it states you can let the aircraft's intentions know if not obvious. Well, it's good. You're painting that picture. You're letting Translating 108 know that there's not just an arbitrary heavy MD-11 descending to 7,000 flying straight up southeastbound, right? They're not landing Mayaguez. They're not going to get tangled up into restricted area 7105. They're not landing Boquerón. They are landing Aguadilla. If it's not abundantly clear, but now you painted that picture. So guess what? Translating 108, they're a local user. They're familiar with the ins and outs of the Aguadilla airport. They are prepared and very knowledgeable. They have institutional knowledge as well to look for SkyCube 3899, and they know where to look given that awesome advisory you just gave. So continuing with the requirements, G, a little out of order in sequence here, but that's just the way the 7110 is. Advise the pilots if either aircraft is a heavy. Perfect, you did that just fine in your traffic call. And continue on with the dialogue. Heavy MD-11 in sight will maintain visual separation. Transauto 8108. Oh, how about that? That is absolutely wonderful. So this takes us to other requirements. D, if the pilot reports the traffic in sight and will maintain visual separation, the pilot must state both, oh, look, they did. It sounded pretty nice here. The controller may approve the operation instead of restating the instructions. Very nice, very smooth, wonderful privilege afforded to you. And also, too, going down to H, kind of like back in the sequential order that we're used to, issue wake turbulence cautionary advisory. Smart move as per chapter 2, which this paragraph makes reference to. You should be letting this conveyor know about this heavy MD-11 and the possibility of vortices out there flying around in the wake. So here you go. Here is your next transmission right off the bat in sequential order. You see how you go boom, bat, boom. This is happening fast, which is wonderful. Translating 108, caution wake turbulence approved. Climb and maintain flight level 140. Perfect. Now we're going to see in our next example that when courses are converging, and one of the requirements will be in our list here, is Translator 8108 going straight up westbound and SkyCube 3899 going southeastbound. They are kind of converging. So guess what? We want to throw into the mix, letting SkyCube 3899 Heavy, let them know what's going on. And you can practice that too. It'd be SkyCube 3899 Heavy, traffic 11 o'clock, 13 miles, westbound Turbo Convair, 6,000, climbing to 14,000, has you in sight, maintain visual separation. We'll get to that in a second, just a little preview, but as you see, we are painting the picture yet again for the SkyCube 3899. And then at that point, you can follow that up with, just send a maintain 3,000 or give the approach clearance, whatever you want to do. So check those off the list. Now, you might be asking, hey, Steve, why are we pointing and using Translato 8108? Why are we having them use pilot applied visual separation with SkyCube 3899 Heavy and not the other way around? Well, think of it this way. The Convair, the Turbo Convair Translato 108, is a white aircraft, small, well, relatively small. When you compare it to the heavy MD-11, and like here, I even have a model of a Skycube. It's my pride and joy. Look at this. What do you think? Who do you think is going to see who first? Do you think the Convair is going to see this wonderfully painted Euro white with awesome yellow toe with a red burgundy cube on the side with the paint scheme looking spectacular? Or is the Skycube going to see maybe this little speck on the windscreen? Like no disrespect to Translate 108, but they are probably going to see the bigger aircraft first, as opposed to the other way around. So also too, like we talked about, Translate 8108 is a common user here. Skycube 3899 probably not so much. So Translate 8108, know your personnel, right? KYP, know who is going to be able to facilitate this process faster. And that's really what you want. You want somebody to see the aircraft, assure you that they're going to maintain visual separation. The burden of separation is now on the pilot. You're just going to sit there and monitor like a referee that you are, and everything's going to be fine. So that little tangent that I went off on with the visual aid just shows that, who's going to see the aircraft better and what aircraft is in a position to be seen. And in this case, I would have to say it's the heavy MD-11. And if we were talking to FedEx, FedEx purple tail, lit up at night, absolutely majestic, beautiful, regal, that's what you'll be looking for, pointing out a Brasilia or a twin Cessna to the heavy MD-11, as opposed to the other way around. So just some thoughts, food for thought there. Let's go to the next slide. Let's go to the next situation. Great job so far. Well, 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 look at us back in Sector 2. Now you might ask, hey, Steve, we've been in Sector 2 and 8 this whole presentation. Why is that? Well, Sectors 4 and Sector 6, most of the aircraft are truly in an en route stage of flight at a high en route altitude, inside class airspace, well above flight level 180. So it's well outside of the purview at which we are allowed to pilot applied visual separation. You have to just use another form of separation to grant you some efficiency and some latitude in those sectors. So most of the pilot applied visual separation you'll be doing is in the confines of Sectors 2 and Sector 8. And to further that point even further, we are here in Sector 2 above the British and American Virgin Islands, because this area is like the Wild West. You have Beef Island departures, St. Thomas departures, St. Croix departures, San Juan eastbound departures. And it always seems that when they depart, they're always pointed at each other. And that's kind of by design because of the way the standard instrument departures work and departure procedures work out of these various airports. So here's an opportunity where we can use pilot applied visual separation. Hotel India 107 departed Beef. They're turning westbound on course, climbing at a 12 for 16 and good speed 103. They are stopped at 12. Good job. Somebody was helping you out maintaining positive separation before, starting to get the process going of using pilot applied visual separation. And we can assume good speed 103 once flight level 170, 17,000 going direct SLUGO as it would be. So there's our paragraph header. We have come so far, yet we are still inside the same paragraph. And here we go. Good speed 103 traffic, 11 to 12 o'clock. 13 miles opposite direction, citation Mustang, 13,000 for 16,000, report in sight. Good. We've come long enough in this presentation to understand that that is a good call at the beginning. Mustang in sight, good speed 103. Now, if you so choose, you can go right back to good speed 103 and good speed 103, maintain visual separation, climb and maintain flight level 170, climb, maintain 17,000, or you can just go tennis ball, table tennis out and go right to Hotel India 1007, have them in the mix. Hotel India 1007, traffic 11 to 12 o'clock, 13 miles opposite direction. PC-12 reaching 12,000 will maintain visual separation. Good. Either which way is fine. You could have done it either which way. Just let them know what's going on. And here we are with our conditions. If the aircraft are on converging courses, inform the other aircraft of the traffic and the visual separation is being applied. Check that. We did that with Hotel India 1007. Everybody is in the know. We kind of alluded to this in our Borinquen example, that when they're on converging courses, we have to let everybody know about each other. This is not like the overtake situation where traffic was off to the 6 o'clock position and the slower aircraft in front had no real hopes of actually seeing the aircraft. As a courtesy, this is actually required, and they are very much converging. They're actually on opposite courses, but head-on is head-on forever. So it's not. Advise the pilots if the radar targets are likely to merge. So this is a funny little detail, but nonetheless, you can still give it. Goodspeed 103 and Hotel India 1007 targets likely to merge. Good, you just gave traffic to both of them and letting them know that be aware that you guys are very much so on opposite courses and going to be right over each other. So check that. Wonderful job. Fantastic. Here's another situation that you would use pilot applied visual separation to help make your operation more efficient, a very valuable tool as opposed to step climbing these aircraft being very tedious, time consuming, attention consuming, and we know in R2 and R8, sometimes if you can alleviate some of that consumption of your very valuable time and your very valuable scanning methods, that you should use it. So great job, and I will see you at the next sector because this one's going to be all you. Well, here we are, northwest corner of Sector 8, Aguadilla Airport, vicinity of, right? No surprise here. We have two aircraft. One's at an en route altitude transitioning Blue 520, or in this case, Route 2, westbound, and Amflight 8111 joining Route 4. So let's use pilot applied visual separation to get Amflight 8111 to their cruising altitude without having to stop them at 5,000 because it looks a little close. Because they're going to speed up and it might get a little dicey. And I'm sure if we've learned one thing up until this point that we like to be positive about our separation along with our attitude, of course. So I'm going to pause right now and we'll get back to each other in just a second. Well, so if you pause it, I'm sure you did a fantastic job knowing everything that you have at your disposal, all the rights and privileges that this paragraph that we have dove into exhaustion. Actually, what should we have done? Well, just let's see what we have going on here. We have a Cessna Skyhawk, Brasilia, piston prop, turboprop. No heavies in this situation. Courses are converging. One aircraft wants to get up, and one aircraft is just happy at flight level or at 6,000. So a little bit different here, not an arrival, but just a low en route aircraft. So just start that ball rolling. Amflight 8111 traffic, 11 o'clock, 10 miles. Westbound, Skyhawk 6,000, report the traffic in sight, or do you have the traffic in sight? Skyhawk 906 Romeo, traffic, 11 o'clock, 12 miles, turning southeastbound, Brasilia, climbing to 5,000, joining Route 4, right, painting the picture. And if somebody, either of these aircraft came up and reported the traffic in sight, which very well may happen to either of these aircraft, then you go about that entire process, which I'm sure you did a fantastic job. And Skyhawk 906 Romeo, maintain visual separation, maintain flight level 60. Aircraft will be climbing through your altitude, continuing to paint that picture, give it advisory, just let them know, hey, they're not staying at 5, or they're going to be climbing through your altitude. And the same thing with Amflight 8111, let them know that they're straight and level flight. Just paint that picture, right? Knowing everything that we just went over with all of the sub-paragraphs in this section, the 7110, you can use. So yet again, it's like a radar flashcard here for you. So have at it, go back, see how you can do it differently. There's many ways to skin a cat, and as we saw by this paragraph, when there's two aircraft going to tango, you can have a lot of things happen. The possibilities are endless, so great job with all of that. I present to you some flowers here, because a thing of beauty is a joy forever, and beautiful is how I describe how you excelled in that last radar flashcard. So, the opportunity for you to use pilot applied visual separation here in San Juan is, in some ways, one of a kind. Not necessarily all of our colleagues throughout the NAS in the en route environment get to use pilot applied visual separation. So you being the exception, you should do it with confidence and not be intimidated by the opportunity to use it. And I think we discussed here and went over some examples, some hotspots where the opportunity would present itself to you to use pilot applied visual separation just to help out your operation, help you detangle situations a lot faster. And as we talked about in our last example that we did together, your time and your attention span is valuable. It's limited, right? We are only human here doing this job. And anytime that you're able to help shift some of that burden and put it on pilots who are very competent and they know the conditions that are surrounding them. They know their aircraft. They are actually there live, seeing what is in front of them as opposed to us with that top-down plan view. So yeah, utilize this tool. It's wonderful. So great job with that today, guys. Really appreciate you guys spending time with me today. I know I really do enjoy it myself. This time that we get to spend together, talking shop, talking air traffic is absolutely wonderful, a beautiful thing that just really just fills the heart up. So I hope you guys are doing well. And again, thank you for the time. Steve here wishing you nothing but the best, and may your attitude be just like your separation. Positive. I'll see you down the road.